Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. This is This Week in Watches and a little bit of other stuff. I'm here with Josh Thanos.
Hey.
Josh is here to answer any of your questions about markets, investments, wait lists, blacklists, all the questions you've got about buying, selling, and trading watches. That's Josh. And he's also got his opinions on the topics of the night. Now, for those of you who just want the quick hits, I've got a new channel called Watch You Want Watch Reviews, where you can watch the old style quick reviews, 6 to 7 minutes, everything you need to know about every watch I can get my hands on. New videos going live every day. And that's all I'm going to say about that, other than we have IWC, Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Jaeger-LeCoultre going live this weekend.
That's cool.
Yeah, definitely subscribe. It's free fun. So guys, tonight we're playing This or That, SIHH 2017 versus Basel World. Okay, two watches, Josh, that I think you're going to like in each case, and I know our viewers are going to be interested in. First up, the Panerai Radiomir 3 days PAM 687. Now this is up your alley because it's a wire lug Radiomir.
Yeah.
And it's one of two Brevettato dodecagon bezels.
Right.
Released this year, based on an old prototype 3646 from the Marina Militare days.
Yes.
This is one, along with the 685, that I feel is for the purists.
Right.
Not a complicated Panerai, not a precious metal Panerai.
No.
And it's got the handsome caliber 3000 inside there. So for me, at $9,800 US,
Yeah.
this is compelling. Do you find it compelling enough to pick over the Rolex Sea Dweller 4000?
Over the 4000?
Yeah.
Or the newest one?
The newest 43 millimeter 126-600.
Okay.
The anniversary Sea Dweller.
Okay, gotcha. It's interesting. Well, they're very different watches, right? And I would say that it would take a Panerai collector in order to purchase that Panerai.
Okay.
I like that Panerai. I don't believe that could be your only Panerai in your collection. So if I'm a Panerai collector, I would definitely go for the Panerai. It's more accessible. You can actually get your hands on it for retail or less, I'm sure. It is that burnt dial is unbelievably beautiful.
Yes, I'm a big
awesome.
fan, and I'm not a Panerai guy.
And it's a vintage look, which is very popular right now. So I would say that if I'm a Panerai collector, Panerai hands down. Otherwise, if I can get my hands on that Rolex, that Sea Dweller, we actually got one in today, the first time I got it on my wrist, and when it was released, I thought it was a mistake. The fact that it was released the way it was, and the fact that it was kind of overplaying that watch over the new stainless steel Sky Dweller, I thought it was a total bust.
Like, that shouldn't have been the star of Basel until you saw it on your wrist.
So I got it on my wrist today. I like the watch a lot. It's really nice. So I would say that if you can get your hands on that watch at around a retail price, it's a more wearable watch. It's an everyday watch. It is going to be less polarizing than the Panerai.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
So now here's the thing. The new red Sea Dweller, and they're calling it that because it's the 50th anniversary of the original, it is an $11,350 US
Retail.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus tax.
Compared to $9,800, and I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of a wait list for this watch. We're seeing them now, but there's going to be a wait list.
In the Panerai?
Yeah, well, not so much for the
Dweller?
Panerai. I think you can get the Panerai without a wait. 1,000 pieces made. It's the Sea Dweller. I feel like if you want this new, you're going to get on a wait list.
Yeah, there's a short wait list, and the ones that we're seeing hit the resale market are asking above list. It's not going to be a Rolex Daytona situation where it's going to be 2-year wait list and the watch is going to be trading well over list for years to come. I don't believe that that'll be the case. I think that this watch is a watch that will eventually be trading right around list for a while, and right now there's even dealers who are not paying list for it. They're going to be paying less. So, but still, the watch is new enough where you're going to have to get on a wait list, and if you want it today and you don't have a ironclad relationship with an AD, meaning you don't spend a lot of money with your AD, you're going to have to pay over list for it right now.
And here's the other thing. Sea Dwellers are incredibly hard to gauge. When the Deep Sea came out, it was reviled for being too big, poorly proportioned. It killed the 5-digit that everyone loved. And then this, frankly, underperforming model in D-Blue configuration in 2014, all of a sudden it caught fire as the Deep Blue.
Oh, yeah.
And then literally that same year, the Sea Dweller 40 came out, and that was initially a hot watch, and then it tapered off so quickly that this year's anniversary Sea Dweller actually caused the Sea Dweller 40 to disappear. it rendered it defunct and production was discontinued.
Right.
So it's hard to call the Sea Dweller. Is it going to have legs in the market? Is it a good investment over the long run? It's probably the most fickle dive watch that Rolex offers because you never know how people are going to react. The sub is always golden.
Well, it's like an in-betweener kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? So it is a little bit of a weird watch in that regard, but I will tell you that the release of the 43 millimeter Sea Dweller has boosted the market on the 40s, and I have guys asking for multiples. In fact, like a few months before the release of the 43, we were trading that watch somewhere around $7,000,
Okay.
end user price $7,000 for the Sea Dweller 40 ceramic. Now they're trading north of 8, and I have guys saying, hey, listen, just give me as many as you can.
Yeah, and I think Rolex got this right. First of all, I would have loved if they'd paid a real homage to the original and written something like Submariner 4000 underneath Sea Dweller in red. That would have been really cool. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's a fully realized idea that avoids the two pitfalls of the Sea Dwellers that preceded it. The Sea Dweller 40 was, to most eyes, and frankly, Rolex is a brand that still does appeal to fashionistas and the status conscious. Yeah. The Sea Dweller 40 looked like the Submariner to too many people.
Yeah, yeah.
And
which is Submariner without a
with the Cyclops eye. People couldn't tell the difference. Right. But the Deep Sea was poorly proportioned. The bracelet was too thin. The case was too large. The watch didn't wear well. Yeah. This one dodges both of those bullets. Well proportioned, and it can't be mistaken for a sub.
No, not at all. And I mean, I would like to maybe give that thing a test ride for a couple days just to see really, because the portions are a little bit different than the sub, so it might take a little while to get used to it, but it's not as thick. That's the main thing for the Deep Sea. Deep Sea is so freaking thick that it just, I mean, it's Invicta-esque. Which I hate to say about a Rolex, but that's kind of how it feels to someone like me with, I have about a 7¼ inch wrist. Maybe Fed with his big, massive wrist can pull that watch off. Not I.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's almost 20 millimeters thick, the Deep Sea, so I can see that. I have not worn the new watch, so I'll take your word for it that it's considerably thinner. Yeah. Now, okay, so that was pretty easy. I actually thought you would go with the Panerai on this, especially since the Panerai cost less. It's a brand you already collect, and frankly, I like the feel of a strap versus the bracelet, but the Rolex bracelet's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I broke it down based on what I think you should buy. If it was me today, I'm probably going for the Panerai.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. If you're buying it to own it, and this is, this is a career wheeler dealer here. He's always thinking about the next watch and the next deal.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've got some new watches, Josh, and some interesting ones. Let's start with the one that I loved most. A watch after my own heart. This is the new Alanga Unzona 1815 chronograph, black pulsograph. It has been a long climb back to sex appeal for Langa's other chronograph. Now, the original came out in 2004, it ran until 2008. Everyone loved that one. It was perfect, or close to it. Power reserves aside, it looked the business. It was cleaner than the Dato and much thinner. The 2010 model came out after the 1815 Gen 1 had been discontinued. The 2010 found no friends. It was sterile. It didn't have the color. It didn't have the pulsograph. It was too crowded. Everything that people loved about the first one was gone in the 2010 model. Okay, so Langa heard our cries. The 2015 model regained the pulsometer scale, and it opened the dial up a little, recovered some of the charm of the original, but it wasn't quite there.
Right.
It's the 2017 model now that just looks the business. This is like what Darth Vader would wear to the Imperial Ball. This is as good as it gets, and frankly, I think it's shocking that this didn't happen earlier. Like, I feel like this is what the 2015 boutique model should have been. But, Josh, this is interesting because we know it's a gorgeous watch. We've seen, 39.5 millimeters white gold. It's nice and thin. Yeah. It's got good heft on the wrist, perfectly sized, 60-hour power reserve, manual wind. Previous versions of this caliber, we know they're gorgeous. And $50,300 US, so start saving now.
Bargain.
But here's the bigger question. Why do dark dial watches, sports or formal, seem to command more interest and greater retained value among enthusiasts? We've seen it with blue, gray, green, and black dials. Is silver too effete for today's collector?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's tougher to read. So as you get older, or if you were born like me with terrible freaking eyes, I got to wear contacts everywhere. it's much tougher to read. So even like a watch like this
Sure.
that I'm wearing, my white dial Aerospace, the numerals will blend in with the dial. So that's one thing. A lot of the older collectors are always asking for darker dials because there's more contrast. Otherwise, it gives the watch a little bit more depth, I believe, right?
Certainly gives it more power, especially when you got black and a white gold case.
That's for sure. I mean, even with say like the Daytona, the new Daytona with the ceramic bezel, there's the white dial and the black dial version. I know you and I prefer the black dial version
Very much.
because it has a little bit more depth to it, right? It's not the contrast that everyone likes on the white dial doesn't really appeal as much to guys like us where we like more depth on the dial.
Yeah, I think it's got a gravitas. The dark dial, whether it's dark rhodium like the new Rolex Yacht Masters, whether it's blue, whether it's green or black, I think it just gives the watch more visual weight. Now, there's physical weight, which is a hefty watch, and then there's visual weight, which comes from things like chunky bezels, chunky lugs, dark dials that seem to have a lot of like horological pathos to them. I'll show you a little example of that. I'm actually wearing my white gold Duomet tonight, which in a lot of ways is like a Swiss parallel to what Lange is doing with that 1815. You can see the watch has a lot of charisma, and I'm going to give you the foudroyant because shouldn't expose you to this watch without actually running it.
Let's see the show.
There we go. The fireworks right there.
Nice.
Yeah, I just like the look of the black dial, and it does seem like blue dials have overrun the market in particular the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Why is that?
They're going to get saturated pretty soon, I believe.
I like blue. I think gray is the new blue, and that's pending. But just it's an interesting inclination.
Yeah.
And
Well, you see, like with every model of like sports watch, whenever they come out with a blue version of it, it tends to sell a little bit better. So
Yeah.
like you have the Vacheron Overseas with blue dials, we pay more for them, we sell them for more. These Panerais, all these blue dial special editions, we pay more for them, they sell for more. IWC, all the Petite Prince, all those watches are holding better value. It's not like they're limited. I mean, you can get them; they're accessible.
yeah, and compared to the kind of brownish bronze Saint-Exupéry dial,
Yeah.
the Petite Prince blue always commands the premium and the interest.
It's beautiful.
And any Audemars Piguet Royal Oak with a blue dial is generally going to be a marquee dealer that gets that allocation or a factory boutique.
Yeah, the Ultra thing, right? So the 15202.
Okay, so moving on, we're looking at the relevance of America's Cup watches here, guys. This is something I don't quite understand because, okay, golf, I'm not into it, but it's a major sport. These guys are huge stars. Thousands of people see it in person. Millions watch on TV. Motorsports, I get it. It's everywhere. It's probably the #1 spectator sport in the world, possibly after association football. But America's Cup, first of all, these syndicates sponsored by yacht clubs no one's ever heard of come and go. So it's not like this is a New York Yankees watch and the team will stand forever, and 50 years from now people know exactly what the pinstripes on the dial are all about.
Yeah.
Oracle Team US, BMW Oracle Team USA, Emirates Team New Zealand. Honestly, I couldn't name a single member of those teams, and I do kind of like boats and racing, and I do follow America's Cup. So we've got...
They have races down here, I think, right? We'll put it this way. This is where the popularity lies. I've lived in South Florida my entire life. I love nothing more than spending my time by the beach, and I've never seen a yacht race.
Fair enough. So we've got two from Omega, the latest in a long line. We'll talk about the relevance once I have rolled out the watches, but this is my favorite of the two, the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean GMT, Emirates Team New Zealand, black ceramic, 45.5 millimeters, full ceramic case, distinctive 35th America's Cup GMT case back. Handsome colors, oddly enough, this is the Challenger watch. The red, white, and blue color scheme could easily suit the Defender, which is the American, but all the same, it's a handsome timepiece. Quirky to choose a GMT for regatta. Usually this is a chronograph complication or a standard time-only watch, but the countdown timing is intended to be accomplished with the bezel.
Okay.
In this case.
Sure.
Caliber 8906, it is the new Master Coaxial, the Maytas standard 60-hour power reserve, GMT automatic, silicone hairspring, 600 meters, $11,800 US.
For a Seamaster.
On a strap.
Okay.
Okay.
For stainless steel Speedmaster on a strap. Okay.
Second, Omega X33 Regatta. Take the Skywalker, add a X33 Regatta dial and a Regatta caseback, and a 5-minute Regatta timer function to its array of digital operations that it can run. Titanium case, 45 millimeters, 3 ATM water resistance.
For a yacht timer?
For a yacht timer. They're going to have to do better than they did in Wednesday's semifinals, where they managed to spit the bit and pull an end over with the boat. They may need a new shipment from Switzerland after that.
Yeah.
But 5,500, this is a limited edition, unlike the GMT. This is 2017 pieces, get them while they last.
Oh, wow.
So here's the bigger question, Josh.
Yeah.
Super specialized niche sport. Endless special editions from the likes of Audemars Piguet, Girard-Perregaux, Zenith, Omega, and again, with only 2017 of the quartz edition available.
That's it? Okay.
The Omega Speedmaster Space Editions hold their value and hold interest regardless of production.
Right.
This concept doesn't seem to age well. First of all, do the Cup editions have any enduring relevance or appeal after that Cup round is over?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think that when it comes to the super special editions, like you said, like the Omega Speedmaster moon watches and different moon watch editions, they tend to hold because people like Speedmasters. So that's number one, right? You have to start with a really strong model, in my opinion, and then add to it, but don't get too crazy. Don't add some sort of ugly logo on the dial. Just give it some cool color combo, which can be worn by anyone, and then on the back, throw some sort of emblem in there. That would be the best way to do it, in my opinion, because it'll have mass appeal and it'll be a little bit limited. So maybe you get a little premium if you sell them retail. But when it comes down to $11,000 Regatta Seamasters on a strap, I mean, you have so many other options to spend that $11,000. While those watches are cool, they're not like they're polarizing with their color schemes. They're not the most handsome watches, and paying $5,500 for the quartz, the X33.
Yeah.
I mean, I like quartz watches.
The model is a tough sell. We love multifunction quartz.
Yeah, I like them, right? But if you're going to spend money on multifunction quartz, you go for the aerospace. Breitling does it better. So it's a hard model to sell in the first place. So when you limit it to 2017 pieces and bump up the cost a little bit to make up for that, it just spells disaster. Those watches tend to make it to gray market really quick.
And this is true of almost any America's Cup co-branding. I mentioned in the past Audemars Piguet, and Jesse's got the photos. He's got the Audemars Piguet Be Happy edition of 300 pieces. You remember the Be Happy? Neither do I. But I'll tell you this, AP made it. There's also Girard-Perregaux. Again, they were sponsors of kind of the forerunner team to the current U.S. Defender.
Special edition GPs always do so well.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we're knocking down the door to get them secondhand. But the bottom line is that they're good watches, but they're kind of marked for failure. Yeah. Here's the thing. This is how America's Cup works, guys. Syndicates are put together to contest the Cup. The challenger gets to enter through a series of qualifying rounds to face the previous victor. Now, the challenger is a syndicate. That's the business that designs, mans, and fields the boat. And a yacht club has to sponsor that syndicate, has to effectively endorse. So Golden Gate Yacht Club is the defender out of San Francisco. And the Royal New Zealand Yacht Club is the challenger with Emirates Team New Zealand, the namesake of this edition. So between all of these syndicates and sponsors and qualifying rounds, and a lot of the teams are named after their sponsors like BMW, Oracle, Emirates Team New Zealand. Again, I think you think Emirates, you think New Zealand, right? So, it's such a confusing and passing kind of phenomenon, and it only happens every couple of years. So even if you have a great one like they did in the previous 34th America's Cup, where the U.S. came back from dead in the water to win the whole thing, years later the excitement's dissipated. This is not like the World Cup where soccer's huge all year round every year and then there's a championship. This is like no one hears anything forever and then there's a match.
Yeah, I don't know anything about yacht racing whatsoever.
Yeah, so people forget these yacht clubs, they forget the syndicates, they forget the sponsors, and you're left with a really expensive watch named for something no one remembers.
Yeah. Well, the new Panerai, I think they're oracles.
You see, Panerai has got an America's Cup collection. That's right. That's true.
And they're actually doing pretty well. And and the reason is, in my opinion, is it's just they're simply cool color combos on their existing watches, or they have a regatta timer, they have a chrono flyback, then they have just the regular time and date. But the red and blue looks really, really nice on Panerai. You can't buy another Panerai that has that color scheme, but it's not overbearing, and I think it just has a special edition case back. Yeah. They're not super expensive, but I have customers calling me, hey, can you get this watch? So Panerai did it right with this model, because I have guys who could care less about the special edition or why the colors are the way they are. They just like that color scheme, and you can't find it on any other Panerai. So then it makes sense to pay a little bit more for that watch.
Yeah, this is the solution. Create a watch that's objectively desirable,
right,
and then put all the identifying and special stuff on the back. Everything that ties it to a moment in time, a sponsor you'll never remember, a team that'll fade away, or a challenger that loses, or a defender that loses. Put all that stuff where it can't be seen. And Panerai seems to have a winning formula here.
Yeah.
So
they're doing it this time. They're doing it right, but it's so hit or miss with these things.
Yes. So Josh will charge a consulting fee, Switzerland. On notice, he will charge a consulting fee to make sure you don't muss up your special editions in the future. So
I think I gave away all my intellectual property right there on camera. Unfortunately.
Well, don't worry, because this is the 35th America's Cup. There's going to be a 36th, Josh. Don't worry.
Sounds good to me.
Call him.
Please.
Okay, so Aaron, this is questions now from the field. We're going to start taking questions from the chat box, but I've got some that were forwarded to my email. Aaron D asks, I'm looking to purchase my first luxury watch, and I'm thinking Omega Aquaterra, master coaxial with a blue dial, 41.5 millimeters steel. I want it for the mix of dress and sports watch. I think it does that perfectly. Question, are there any other watches in the $4,000 price range that have the same functions that I might be overlooking? Well, we've got some watches that have those functions and more, but suit your price range and thematically get the job done. Surf, turf, they can be sports or dress watches. So Josh, lead us off.
Okay, all right, so the first one you can think of is pretty standard. It's the Speedmaster, right?
Staying in the family.
Yeah, so Omega, I mean, by the way, there's so many Omegas. I mean, you can do Seamasters. Obviously, there's Aquaterra, there's a million different combinations.
Yeah. A 300 meter is from the Seamaster family with the rotating bezel is not too butch to wear with a suit.
No, it's actually perfect, and you can wear it on the beach. You can wear it with a suit. So there's for $4,000, if you want a stainless steel watch that's very versatile, there's a ton of inventory. But Speedmaster is a really good way to go. It's a great watch if you want to collect and trade possibly in the future. There's a lot of demand for the watch, so it's easy to sell.
Yeah.
You can for well less than $4,000 you can get the Seamaster 300.
Yeah, and I think with the Speedmaster, new on the strap, which makes it you buy yourself a cheap NATO, get it on the strap if you want. And now you've got a watch that does look quite formal. We're not used to seeing the Speedmaster professional moon watch on a leather strap,
right,
but it dresses up nicely, it cleans up nicely, as they say. So consider that at right around $4,000. Again, with a discount, you're under $4,000, and that's buying new. Pre-owned, Josh, well below that.
Oh, well below that. Yeah, I mean you could probably get two watches in your price range for. Or to suit your needs for the $4,000.
Yeah. Now, a little bit off base, but we're going away from Omega and the mega manufacturers to the town of Glasuta and one of its smaller but probably best loved names, Nomos. Yeah. Nomos Glasuta, the Nomos Ahoy Atlantic. Now this is their Atlantic blue dial. Nomos loves blue. They've got Signal Blau, they've got Atlantic Blau, they've got Nacht Blau, they've got Tief Blau. At least 4 that I know of. I love them all, but this watch is great because at 40 millimeters with 200 meter water resistance and automatic winding, this is Nomos doing a sports watch. But because it's Nomos, it's not too big, it's not too complicated, and it's not too aggressive to wear with formal attire. It actually is a great choice. You can buy it from them direct for $4,060 US bucks.
Some on their website, I think.
Yeah, they have their own online store.
Pretty good for distribution. They tend to hold more value than you'd think from a brand like that.
Yeah, I mean, that $4,000 watch is never going to become like a $2,000 watch. That's the thing about Nomos. Would you say that's a safe bet?
Yeah, I mean, if you're selling that to an end consumer, you're never going to sell it for probably less than $3,000, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they hold good value relatively, and the Ahoys, they do really well on NATO straps too.
They do. They got the crown guards. They have a bigger profile at 40 millimeters. That's big for Nomos, guys. Yeah. That's a great choice. You don't have to get it with the Atlantic blue dial. I happen to like it that way. From Bremont, what do we have, Josh?
The Airco Mach 2 is a very, very good option. If you're looking in that range, you're gonna. I think what the retail price is.
Yeah, below
It's
4,000.
less than 4,000. So pre-owned, obviously, you can get it for less than that. That's a brand that doesn't hold as much value than say like a Nomos, but they're kind of similar in their
Yeah,
approach.
I think if you're thinking off the beaten path, Bremont and Nomos are going to appeal to you.
That's right.
You're talking German watchmaking and an English sensibility. Bremont not completely English built, but English assembly and the design all done in England. So with the Airco Mach 2, I think just under $3,900 US, you're getting a sizable case at 40 millimeters in steel.
But it's a beefy 40 too.
Yeah.
All their watches tend to be a little beefier. They're not very slim.
Exactly. You've got the gray dial, which, as I mentioned, is like the next new hotness after blue.
Yeah, I like gray.
That's coming on fast. You've got a date. It's automatic, 100-meter water resistance. Again, with the strap, put it on the leather, it's good for dress up. Put it on a NATO or any kind of textile, and now you're ready to go into the water. 100 meters, screw down crown, no concerns. Automatic winding, ETA 2892, which we know can be serviced anywhere.
Yeah, and well, to that point as well, they are known for having like a very good customer service in regards to servicing. So they stay on top of things, they service them quickly and get it back to you.
Yeah, that's the thing about Bremont. You know, you're not sending your watch on a 12-month English vacation, which would be lovely, but unfortunately that's kind of the rule in Switzerland.
Yeah, nothing happens quickly in the watch world besides, sales, I guess.
Except at Bremont, where they move with the speed of a Jaguar / Boeing jet / rocket seat / Norton motorcycle / America's Cup yacht. Yes, they sponsor that too.
One more slash, no?
I'm sure there must be something else. Oh yeah, Kingsman. They made a Kingsman movie watch.
Boom, look at that.
There you go.
That's great.
Okay, so are there any other watches sub 4,000 that are kind of surf turf, fun watches that are also appropriate for dress up?
Well, whenever I think about like stainless steel sport watches or versatile watches, stainless steel under $5,000, I always think about Zenith.
Yes.
You can get El Primero chronographs well under $4,000, and you can get something contemporary, new style, or you can get something older as well.
Yeah. The rainbows from the 90s, you can get them for well under five, under four on a strap certainly.
Yeah.
So consider those. You've got a lot of options. Don't pigeonhole yourself into buying a new watch, please. They're designed to outlive you, me, all our kids, their progeny. Watches are a long-term product.
Yeah.
It's not a car. It's not sushi. So expect it to last. Buy one that's been well cared for, and take advantage of depreciation. There's no greater ratio of retained mechanical value and horological value to retained price, which can often be dismal, than you'll find in watchmaking.
Yeah, that's it.
So now, question from Sarish. Sarish B asks a complicated, multi-part question. This is like a football play where everyone's going in every direction, the ball's flying, the coach is drawing lines, the commentators are losing track, the refs are like doing a double take. So let me try to be as coherent as I can here, because he's got a lot to ask. I have come across Patek Philippe and their 5235G. I'm being quoted $42,500 for this watch from a pre-owned dealer. However, I'm trading in my 4-watch collection to get this one timepiece. Please let me know if this is the right decision or not. I have 3 Rolex watches: the Submariner Hulk, the green one, in steel, the Batman, which is the black and blue GMT Master in steel, and he has a 40mm Sea Dweller, which I'm taking to mean the current, recently phased out Sea Dweller
4,000, yeah.
Yeah. And he has a JLC Grand Date. So now he says he typically only wears one watch at most, typically sticks with one and just lets the other sit. So he's decided to own one Patek Philippe, the annual calendar regulator, in white gold.
Great watch.
And trade in the rest.
Okay.
Problem. He's also on the wait list at his Rolex dealer for the new, mostly steel and white gold Sky Dweller.
Nice.
The $14,400 mostly steel annual calendar GMT.
Hopefully we're going for the blue dial. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I loaded the picture of that one,
Nice.
so it better be.
Nice,
and
nice.
a Rolex Daytona. He's on the list for the steel ceramic Daytona. So he says, in the future, I feel more watches, if I want them, I can just get the ones I'm waitlisted to buy.
Yeah.
But from a watches trade-in perspective, let's attack that trade of 4 watches: the Hulk, the Batman, the 40mm Sea Dweller, and the JLC Reverso Grand Date. So would you make that move if you only wear one watch most of the time and you don't rotate through your collection?
I would say if you're going to make that move, you've picked a really, really good watch to make it to. right? So if you're wearing your watch mostly for business, that's the 5235G is not going to be a watch that you're going to be wearing to the beach, of course, right? So if you're wearing your watch during the day, you're not getting it wet, not getting it beat, you're not knocking into, you're not doing construction, then I'd say that, it makes sense. If you're only wearing one of your watches mostly at all times, and you can seriously put all four of your watches on a table and walk away and never see it and never, don't feel bad about walking away from them, I think it's a good trade, especially if this is your first Patek. I mean, you're doing all right.
Yeah, I have to be honest. You can go out, first of all, you can go all Patek. You can add something like this 5065 here and get a steel sports watch that will fill the gap left by those Rolexes.
This is an amazing watch, by the way.
That is a cool watch.
It's so cool.
Since we didn't do a wrist shot for you, I'm making this your wrist shot,
Sure,
Josh.
please. Well, I bought the watch, so.
Yeah, this is part of the original 1997 charter class of Aquanauts. Yeah, this is the 5065. This is not the 1,000-piece limited edition. That was the 5060. But this is an awesome watch, low in profile, beautifully segmented, hobnail, dial, and strap to match. A little bit more stripped down. If something like the Nautilus would be the equivalent of your Jaguar XK140 drop head coupe, this is like the Speedster. This is like the Roadster.
I see that.
This is stripped down.
This thing's cool. The faded indices on this watch, the lume, and the 38 millimeter case.
Yeah, let me show them while you talk about this, because you're selling the watch beautifully.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So, this watch specifically came from its original owner, full set box and papers, and I'm enamored with it. I've been staring at it for the last week or so. Open case back. So this is the first generation Aquanaut, right? The strap is a little bit. It's not as handsome as the current 5167. It's a little bit small. It's a 38 millimeter.
Yeah.
But it wears so perfect, in my opinion.
And since I don't want to make a pure sales pitch, here's one you can't buy. This is my Swatch System 51 System Frog, guys.
Oh, God. That thing's cool.
I love it. Best
Neon
birthday
green.
present I ever got.
Nice.
So this is the thing. Back to Sureesh's question, I would say, make that trade. You're wearing one watch. Wear the brass ring. The 5235 is one of the most unusual Patek Philippe watches to be made in the modern era. It's one of only two I can think of that has a hacking function, so that's unique. But it's the combination of the micro rotor movement with the annual calendar, the regulator, and the production iterations that were essentially the advanced research series brought into serial production. But here's the thing, even as it realized the potential of the silicon components, Patek was not really able to mass produce this watch the way they imagined. Production slowed to the point where every individual watch had to be extensively minded by a watchmaker, which completely undid all of the best intentions to mass produce silicon and make that a way to effectively serialize an amagnetic unlubricated escapement and hairspring. So what was supposed to be a mass producible watch became incredibly difficult to produce, thereby constraining supply. And last I heard, as of 12 months ago, production had actually stopped while they worked to correct a few and finish up the waitlist orders. So if you can get one of those, it's a future collectible. It's already desirable. It will lose no value.
That's your favorite Patek, right?
That is my favorite Patek, and I've experienced the best minute repeating
do we have
perpetual
one or no?
calendars. Govberg has one for $44,500.
Okay.
So I'd say if $2,000 is a make or break, and to win your business, we'd absolutely find a way to accommodate that. So call Govberg, call this guy. He can also sell you a pre-owned Patek through them. So here's the thing now. Would you then say pass on the Patek and get the Rolex Skydweller and the Daytona to add to the four he already has?
That's an interesting question.
Those of you just joining us, he has a Rolex Hulk, Rolex Batman, he has a Rolex Sea Dweller 40, the recent discontinued model, and he has a JLC Reverso Grande.
My vote would be no. I would not add those two Rolexes to that current collection.
Okay.
Yeah, you have the 40 millimeter Sea Dweller, which in my opinion is a better watch than the 43 millimeter. The Daytona is really, really cool, but you've got the Hulk and you've got the Batman. So, you have two hard to get, core piece Rolexes anyway. So, the Daytona's cool. Maybe you add that to the Patek. I would say that. I would wear the Daytona as your knockaround when you have the Patek.
I would say this. If you're interested in creating a Rolex collection, since you already have 3 and you're waitlisted for 2, go that route if you are emotionally committed to starting a Rolex collection.
Yeah.
If you just want to have the best watch for the combination of trades and cash that you're willing to spend, the best watch in this case is the Patek Philippe 5235. You lose the sports watch capability, but you can buy an old Bond Seamaster that's a classic in its own right for like $2,500.
There you go.
And then you've got the dive watch, sports watch thing covered with a great one that costs almost nothing for a margin you could probably negotiate off the price of the Patek.
That would be like the greatest, most unbalanced collection of all time. You have the 5235 and the Bond Seamaster,
Yeah.
and they're both like equally unbelievably wearable.
Absolutely. They're both classics, and they
Yeah.
both have blue accented dials.
There you go.
Okay, so question coming in from Viet Win. He's asking, how reliable are H. Moser and C watches? I'm considering them for my next watch. Here's the thing. Pre-2012, hit or miss. Beautifully made, but pre-2012, they just did not have the money and the time to properly troubleshoot the movements before they left the factory and began production. So, again, great minds like Rolf Lang, father of Marco, and Andreas Streller were involved in the original 2006, 2007, 2008 design of these movements, but the industrial capability and the capital to make them right didn't exist until the Melan family arrived in 2012 with the money and the vision, the Lean Six Sigma methodology to take traditional handcraft, add funding, and produce reliable watches. Today, they're very reliable. They're made in a fashion that doesn't just ensure that the watch is right when it leaves the factory, but with modular platform escapements, they can actually pull the escapement, take that one out, service it separately, and drop in one that's ready to roll. Then they just have to clean and lubricate the train and the barrels, and it dramatically speeds up service. So they're not just reliable now, but they're specifically set up to better handle service requests, both because of the design of the movement and the way they've acquired additional watchmaking talent to help with service. So I would say buy without any fear. They're in good hands. The same company, MELB Holdings, also owns distribution rights for many Swiss watch brands around the world and owns Haute Lance outright. So it's a bigger company than it appears at first glance, and they're well financed. Okay.
I concur.
Josh, question from David Hefkin. NATO's won't die or will die?
Ooh, I won't die. NATOs are cool, man. I think like 2 or 3 years ago, like the entire industry got like inundated with NATOs, but now they're like, well, Omegas they're selling Omegas with NATOs,
with factory NATOs. They're really nice.
Yeah, really nice. Very $700 NATOs are great, awesome. But but no, like NATOs are cool. It's a great option to swap out your strap at any time.
Yeah, I would say
very comfortable.
The era of NATO on anything and everything has passed us.
Yeah.
I think that's over. Just like I think the era of the 46 to 48 millimeter sports watch as a routine novelty is probably past.
I'd wear this on a NATO.
Yeah, well, that would look right on a NATO.
That's right.
In case you missed, Josh bought this watch and he's pushing it hard.
I want to buy it. I think.
Full disclosure. You may lose the opportunity. He's going to buy it out from under you.
I don't know. I really like this watch.
So Captain Zed is opining, and this is to Sarish.
Okay.
He'd be way happier with 5 really nice watches. So in his opinion, rather than trade the farm for the Patek 5235 regulator annual calendar, he would say keep your 3 Rolexes that you've got, the Sea Dweller 40, the Hulk, and the Batman, and then add the Steel Sky Dweller that you're already on the wait list to receive, and the Steel Ceramic Daytona that, once again, you're already waitlisted to receive.
I'm forgetting the JLC also, so it'd be 6.
Yeah, he's already got the JLC as well. But he's got the backbone of a great Rolex collection. If he keeps his 3 and waits for the 2, again, we're just talking about getting the most watch, and we think the Patek standing alone is the most watch.
I think it depends on your habits, right? So if you're a guy who rotates their watches a lot, then yeah, for sure, make sure have as many good watches as possible. Like we did the this or that over having 4 nice watches over 1. So this is essentially the same question. And personally, I like to have more I like to have more variety than not. But if you're a guy who only wears 1 watch all the time, then it can almost be stressful to go look at your watch box and see all these really nice watches that are just not getting worn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't ever just leave your watches in your watch box. If you haven't worn a watch in like 6 months to a year, give somebody like us a call and just move that watch out of your collection. Get some value for it because you're not it's worthless to you if you're not wearing it.
It's
right?
like having $40,000 in a checking account. It's not gaining interest. It's not working for you. Watches are just like that if you're not wearing them.
Right. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Robert
find somebody who
Dickerson.
will.
Robert Dickerson. Robert Dixon.
Robert Dixon.
I'm sorry, guys. My eyes are beginning to go. Let me put on my glasses. They help me read better.
There you go. And you look fast too.
Okay, Robert Dixon. Appropriately green glasses, green car. He sent me photos of a spectacular BMW M4 in green from Scotland. I did see them and they were fantastic. If that were for sale here in the continental United States, I would have a lot of difficulty saying no. Thank goodness. I'm here with more immediate temptations in the form of JLC minute repeaters and Dayglow green swatches.
You mind if I try this on?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Josh, also a System 51 owner, checking out my System Frog.
But this one's so cool, man.
Captain Zed, a man after your own heart, Josh.
Yeah.
I could easily consolidate to an AP diver and an Aquanaut.
Ooh. Yeah, that's good. I mean, they're kind of overlap, the diver and the Aquanaut. I would say, like, I love the diver. You guys see me talk about that a lot. But if you get a 5167, having that Aquanaut, then you could do maybe a Royal Oak Chrono with like a hornback leather strap. That would be awesome. But yes, I agree. Well, the cool thing is with the diver, you can use those hornback straps. They're interchangeable. Then you got best of both worlds. But yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page. Look at that. That's cool. Look at that. That's cool shit, man.
Now, I got a comment coming in from David Hefkin saying, you guys did a bike watch comparison. You guys should do a car one. That'll be done. We're going to just erase all previous co-branding agreements and allocate watch brands as we see fit and suitable. So, Breitling for Bentley, that's gone. Breitling for Hublot, that's next.
Breitling for Hublot.
Breitling for Hublot. We're just taking the cars out of the equation. Breitling and Hublot. We're going to make the Hublot Breitling and the Breitling Hublot.
Hey, let's sell it.
Although, if I must, I would say Hublot and Bentley. Yeah, that feels more like Hublot Ferrari.
There you go.
Okay, so questions coming in, guys. Thank you so much. Fed is talking watches, by the way, in the live chat box. If you're watching, he should be answering your queries even as we banter up here. Now, a lot of interest in Moser. Guys, it's a great brand. I recommend it. If you've got the coin and you have a chance to go Moser, I would say do it without any reservations.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Tim.
Yeah.
I had a customer who watches our show. He reached out, and he's into Groenfeld watches.
Okay.
I don't know that much about them. Like, I knew, I have some surface knowledge about it, and I was doing a little bit of research. But what are your thoughts?
I love what they make. First of all, you're not going to see too many guys who are ambitious enough to finish stainless steel bridges the way others finish brass. Also, they do finishing, and not just cosmetic, but also mechanical finishing for Renault Papi.
Yeah.
So if you know the ultra high-end complication branch of Audemars Piguet that builds watches for Richard Mille and many other glitterati in the watch industry, these guys do finishing of components for them. So this is a company where you're going to be able to get a Remontoir, you're going to be able to get a Tourbillon, you're going to be able to get it personalized. Tim and Bart Groenfeld, they're Dutch, they're cool guys. They both have huge experience in complications and high horology, and they've been essentially running a two-man ultra haute de gamme watch manufacturing business that I would compare to the best by anyone else. I would put them up with the likes of Laurent Ferrier. I would put them up with the likes of Voutilanen, albeit with a different sensibility. I would say that they have the same kind of imagination as Vianney Halter, but with a better ability to execute and bring a concept to completion and, functioning as intended. So I would also say that they're about as good as anyone anywhere, and some of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Really?
They're both friendly, they're both fun, they both speak great English, and they will talk endlessly about their watches or any watches. So if you're thinking of going Groenfeld, go for it.
Yeah, okay. Well, they're like ultra low output, like less than 50 watches a year, from what I understand.
Yeah, they're in that range. They're never going to hit 100. Yeah. They might be between 50 and 80 every year. And again, when you've got that kind of relationship with the watchmaker, accommodations in dial and case and movement, all these things can be done.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, so the question I got was like, do we ever see them, or could I get one pre-owned? And this is, we were talking about like MB&F or things like that. Well, Urwerk, I guess, gets traded through dealers, but MB&F, like super ultra high-end watches, or unbelievably limited watches, they tend to trade between collectors, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we haven't seen one here.
Exactly. This is the kind of watch that's desirable when new, desirable when pre-owned, desirable now, desirable in 10 years. And because they don't use any, they use steel bridges, which is crazy. But there's nothing in that movement that a competent watchmaker couldn't service 50 years down the line.
Yeah.
So I would say, quite frankly, you can't do much better in independent horology. And having a watchmaker who fits your sensibility at that level of production really matters. And I can tell you from the first time I met both of the Groenfeld brothers, they call themselves the Horological Brothers, they were the friendliest, warmest, and most considerate folks I met at Basel World 2016. So, you have to buy into a watchmaker when you buy into a micro brand like that, and those folks are easy to buy into. You'll be very happy.
Cool.
Josh, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. It's always a pleasure.
This guy is always available. You can call him, you can email him, you can text him. He's happy to chat, happy to buy, happy to sell, wheel or deal. And if you do want to buy a watch off Govberg pre-owned, I should mention this because people always ask, yes, you can buy it from him.
Yeah, we're all the same.
One big, happy, interstate family here in the States.
I get to look at palm trees every day, that's all. That's the only difference between me and any of the guys.
Exactly. We're not frostbitten. That's the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Fed, Talking Watches, 24 hours a day on our Instagram. Watch You Want watch reviews to see my new On the Wrist reviews 24 hours a day. New watches every day. Josh, if you want to buy something. And Jesse, thank you so much for loading the slides tonight. We're Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on.